6 decades ago, humanity launched Machine 2 on an incredible journey across the stars, its mission to traverse 20 light years and reach a specially chosen planet. This marvel of technology operated entirely without human control throughout its voyage. Upon reaching the planet's orbit, Machine 2 was designed to connect with other machines, enabling instant travel between our world and this distant one. Imagine that, jumping across the galaxy in the blink of an eye. Fast forward to the present, where we find a pilot at the helm of a spaceship. The team meticulously reviews the final data packet, confirming the flight paths. They suggest one last tweak, a 24-degree adjustment, and a 3.5 DE shift. With this information in hand, the pilot gets the green light to start the burn countdown. Following orders, our pilot adjusts the ship's pitch and carries out his instructions to the letter. As the burn continues, the team excitedly confirms that the ship has locked onto its entry point. The atmosphere grows tense as a 10-second countdown begins for machine engagement. As the countdown hits 0, the pilot feels a moment of doubt, but reassurance comes quickly. The link is confirmed and the path is clear for transit. With final clearance given, the pilot steps into a mysterious black machine, ready for the next phase of this cosmic adventure. Our brave pilot awakens dazed and confused on unfamiliar terrain. Above him, menacing dark clouds gather, and the air crackles with an approaching storm. Shaking off his disorientation, he collects his scattered belongings and sets off on foot. His journey leads him to a heart-wrenching sight, the crash site of his ship, now a blazing inferno of twisted metal. With a heavy heart, he retreats and settles down to take stock of his situation. Rummaging through his bag, he finds 2 foil-wrapped food items. After a quick inspection, he tucks them away for later. A device on his wrist catches his attention. He removes his helmet and connects a bottle to his oxygen system. Breathing deeply, he switches from the full mask to a more comfortable nasal tube. After a brief rest on the alien soil, our pilot springs into action. He disconnects the oxygen tube and prepares to send a crucial message. "This is Captain James," he transmits, reporting from planet E581. He details his crash landing and describes the barren landscape, devoid of any signs of intelligent life. With only 5 days' worth of supplies, he hopes for a response within 3 hours, factoring in the communication delay. Pausing to quench his thirst, the pilot is startled by a loud crash nearby. Cautiously, he investigates, but finds nothing. Turning back, he's met with disaster. His water bottle has spilled, its precious contents seeping into the alien soil. In a moment of frustration, he hurls the empty container away. As night falls, our stranded hero clings to hope, eating his rations while anxiously awaiting contact. Morning arrives, bringing no word from home. Undeterred, he packs up and presses on. Another transmission attempt. "Tom 1, this is Captain James. I've been on E581 for nearly a day with no contact. I'm praying it's just equipment failure and that rescue is en route." His voice wavers as he adds, "I've lost my water supply. If I don't find more today, well, there might not be anyone left to rescue." Captain James's ears perked up at the sweet sound of flowing water. His heart racing, he sprinted towards the source. There it was, a glistening stream. Approaching cautiously, he cupped his hands and took a tentative sip. Relief washed over him as he confirmed it was safe to drink. Not taking any chances, our resourceful captain pulled out a small bottle for further testing. Satisfied with the results, he filled his water bottle and dropped in a purification tablet. Once the water was treated, he savored every drop. Refreshed and determined, Captain James pressed on. At one point, he paused to survey the alien landscape through his binoculars. Suddenly, he spotted movement in the distance. Hopeful, he waved his arms, trying to catch their attention, but his heart sank as the figures opened fire. Adrenaline pumping, James sprinted for cover. 2 menacing robots gave chase, but our quick-thinking captain managed to outsmart them, finding a hiding spot and evading capture. As dusk approached, James continued his lonely trek. The sudden roar of an approaching vehicle shattered the silence, startling him. He lost his footing and tumbled to the ground. Looking up, he spotted a building looming in the darkness. Seizing the opportunity, he scrambled inside. Exhausted and disheartened, Captain James slumped against a wall. "No one is coming for me," he whispered into the alien night. With the dawn of a new day, James sent another desperate message. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Still no contact, supplies are dwindling, only 3 rations left. I'm starting to consider a backup plan." He shared his observations of intelligent life on the planet, noting their advanced machinery. A glimmer of hope sparked in his eyes as he considered a daring possibility. "With their technology, they might be able to help me get back into orbit. Right now, they're my only ticket home." As Captain James contemplated his next move, the alien world around him held both promise and peril. Captain James settled down for a meal, his mind drifting as he lay on the alien soil. Suddenly, visions of himself with a child flickered through his consciousness. This peaceful moment was shattered by a thunderous bang, jolting him back to reality. Quick as lightning, James scrambled for cover. 2 menacing robots appeared, their metallic forms glinting in the alien light. Without hesitation, our captain bolted in the opposite direction, his heart pounding in his chest. As he weaved through the alien woods, strange noises echoed around him. James paused, scanning the area, but saw nothing. Cautiously, he pressed on. Just as he leaned against a tree to catch his breath, the ominous sound of approaching robots filled the air. Leaping to his feet, James made a dash for safety, but luck wasn't on his side. A robot spotted him and opened fire. A searing pain shot through his hand as he tumbled to the ground. Gritting his teeth, James snatched up a nearby stick and lunged at the robot, managing to damage some of its components. Though the robot remained standing, the distraction was enough. James seized his chance and fled, clutching his injured hand. The pain intensified, forcing him to collapse. With trembling fingers, he hastily bandaged the wound, stemming the flow of blood. When James regained consciousness, he found himself face to face with the robot. His heart racing, he gripped his makeshift weapon, ready for a fight. But the robot remained motionless, showing no signs of hostility. Curiosity overtook fear as James cautiously prodded the robot with his stick. No reaction. Then he noticed the robot's attention seemed fixed on a small chip on the ground. Understanding dawned. The robot wanted the chip. James picked it up, and to his amazement, the robot docilely followed. As they trudged onward, James stumbled upon a peculiar container. He paused to send a message home. "I found something strange. A container covered in alien writing. What could it mean?" Their journey led them to a house. As James stepped inside, darkness gave way to light, revealing a fully furnished home complete with a bed, cabinets, and other essentials. As James explored the mysterious house, his eyes landed on a gun. Curiosity piqued, he moved on to investigate a video player. With a flick of a switch, the screen flickered to life, revealing heartwarming scenes of a family enjoying time together outdoors. They laughed, cooked, and reveled in each other's company. But as James rifled through nearby papers, the video took a chilling turn. A helicopter appeared in the frame, approaching the unsuspecting family. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the scene, and the footage cut to black. James stood there, stunned by the abrupt and violent end to such a peaceful moment. Night fell, and our weary captain found himself grateful for the shelter. As dawn broke, James tended to his wound, carefully cleaning it and applying fresh bandages. His mind still reeling from the previous day's discoveries, he turned his attention to the gun he'd found. In a heart-stopping moment, the weapon discharged unexpectedly. The shot whizzed past James, missing him by a hair's breadth. His unlikely robotic companion, ever present, fell in line behind him as he stepped out into the alien world once more. "We need to find your owners," he mused aloud. His first attempt to interact with the robot yielded no response, but a second touch prompted it to shift slightly. Seizing the opportunity, James carefully placed his bag on the robot's back. To his amazement, the robot secured it and set off in a new direction. Intrigued, James followed as the robot led him toward a distant factory. Along the way, he transmitted another message. "The planet's surface bears the scars of war. I suspect the machines are still serving their creators who might be living underground. My hope is to make contact and, with luck, use their technology to find my way back home." Upon reaching the factory, James reclaimed his bag, and the robot came to a halt. After a brief rest and a quick meal, they resumed their journey, the bag once again secured to the robot's frame. Suddenly, the robot stopped in an open area for no apparent reason. James's confusion turned to alarm as a white object plummeted from the sky, followed by billowing smoke and a hail of gunfire. Looking up, he spotted an aircraft hovering above, raining destruction on the ground below. Acting on instinct, James darted toward a nearby house for cover. Once inside, he called for the robot to join him, but it remained motionless. As the aircraft continued its relentless assault, James wrestled with indecision. Should he make a run for it? In a split-second choice, he raced back to the robot, snatched his bag, and sprinted for the house, the robot finally following suit. Safe for the moment, James and the robot huddled in the house as the attack persisted outside. During a brief lull, James was startled to see another robot in front of him, firing at the wall. He attempted to slip past quietly, only to find himself face to face with yet another mechanical assailant. Frustration mounting, James spotted a clear path to the window. In a burst of speed, he dashed towards it, escaping the house and putting distance between himself and the immediate danger. Once he felt he'd reached a safe distance, James pulled out his binoculars, scanning the alien landscape. Despite this, confusion still clouded his mind. With no better options, he pressed on, his loyal robot companion still by his side. Their journey led them to a peculiar machine that suddenly erupted with noise, firing wildly in all directions. Heart pounding, James sprinted towards a nearby staircase. Above, a craft zoomed past. Without hesitation, he plunged through the stairs, only to be confronted by a door that set off an alarm as he approached. The door swung open, releasing a gust of wind that left James feeling nauseous. Recognizing the potential danger, he retreated to his bag. With trembling hands, he donned his mask and grabbed the gun before steeling himself to approach the door once more. Descending the stairs with utmost caution, James found himself in a sewer-like hallway. He crept forward, gun raised, every sense on high alert. Suddenly, the metallic form of a robot appeared, advancing towards him. James squeezed the trigger, firing at the machine, but to his horror, the shots had no effect. Realizing the futility of his attack, James spun on his heel and ran, desperately seeking escape. He reached another door, frantically trying to force it open, but it wouldn't budge. With nowhere left to turn, he braced himself for the robot's arrival, his mind racing through possible scenarios. But what happened next defied all expectations. The robot, seemingly oblivious to James's presence, simply opened the door and entered, paying him no heed whatsoever. A grim sight caught his eye. The remnants of a body lay on the ground. While examining this unsettling discovery, his communication device suddenly crackled to life. Someone's message brought a mix of relief and frustration. They'd received his transmissions, but ongoing communication issues plagued their efforts. The machine's irregular insertion orbit made establishing a stable connection challenging. Though they yearned to bring him home, resolving these technical hurdles took priority. Pressing on, James found himself in a control room. The security feeds painted a horrifying picture, lifeless bodies strewn across various rooms. The stark reality hit him like a punch to the gut. Everyone on this planet was already dead. Despair threatened to overwhelm him. How could he possibly find his way home now? In a burst of frustration, he lashed out, striking the skeleton seated at the control panel. Just then, another message from Com-1 arrived, revealing a shocking miscalculation. The machine had arrived 5 solar orbits too early, meaning it had been on the planet far longer than anyone had realized. As James processed this information, his eye caught a picture on the wall, a Bible verse surrounded by old newspapers. Suddenly, the pieces fell into place. This wasn't an alien world at all, but a post-apocalyptic Earth. The devastating war he'd theorized about had indeed occurred, wiping out humanity and leaving only machines in its wake. The newspapers held an even more chilling revelation. His journey through the teleportation device had played a crucial role in the planet's destruction. The weight of this knowledge threatened to crush him. Stepping outside, James gazed up at the aircraft circling overhead. For a moment, hope abandoned him. Survival, let alone escape, seemed impossible. In his darkest hour, he pulled out his gun, contemplating ending it all. But something within him rebelled against this final surrender. At the last moment, Captain James chose life. He would keep going, refusing to give up in the face of overwhelming odds. As he lowered the gun, a new determination filled him. Yes, the situation was dire. Yes, the odds were stacked against him. But he was still breathing, still thinking, still fighting. And as long as that remained true, there was hope, however slim, of finding a way to set things right. What would Captain James do next? Could he find a way to reverse the catastrophe his arrival had inadvertently set in motion? Or would he focus on survival in this hostile, machine-dominated world?